Well, good morning. I'm Julie Patterson.
And I'm Paul Poteet. It's time for Boomer TV again.
I'm excited about it. On our episode this morning, you're going to learn about a very cool sports team in town, and it may not be the one you're thinking. We're talking
Colts, Pacers?
The Fuel, Indy Fuel, our hockey team.
There you see them in action. Oh, we got a lot of it. With hockey, you get lots of action, so that'll be a fun update.
It will.
And we're also going to find out what happens at Joy's house and how they help people in our community.
Mostly caregivers who really put it all out there for their loved ones. Maybe they need a break, so Joy's house is always there to help. You'll find out how you can maybe be a part of it too.
Back in the day, Password was a fun little game show you'd watch during the day with Alan. Now, who would have thought, years later, that Password would rule our lives?
Well, and to remember all of them and, paying bills on your phone, on the computer, I forget, so I have to change mine all the time. But we've got a segment that's going to help you remember yours.
Julie, I've hidden all my passwords in the catacombs here in Indianapolis.
It's a good spot.
Nobody will, well, Michael Atwood might find them, I
He
guess.
might find them, because he's going to take you there on this morning's episode of Boomer TV.
Boomer TV is made possible with support from Westport Homes, dedicated to building homes for every chapter of life, with plans and details that match customers' specific needs and style. Additional funding is provided by Altman, Poindexter, and Wyatt attorneys, serving clients throughout central Indiana with wills, trusts, and estates, with over 70 years of combined experience. Unique Home Solutions, serving more than 30,000 homeowners since 1983. Providing home remodeling services from minor updates to complete renovations with a mission to improve appearance and efficiency.
So we have a lot of great sports team here in our community.
We've got the Colts, we've got the Pacers, and
the Indy Fuel.
They're relatively new. I guess they'd be the newest professional team in town. Yeah.
Minor league hockey. Love watching hockey. It's fun. There's always fights and scars and teeth missing. But I enjoy it a lot.
Minor league hockey, major league fun, in this report from Glenville.
Brent, tell us a little bit about the Indy Fuel. It's their 5th year here. A lot of us knew the Indy Ice, and some of us this old knew the Indy Racers. Tell us about what the Indy Fuel is, where it stands in relation to the NHL, and how it's maybe different from the old Indiana Ice team.
Yeah, for sure. The Indy Fuel, we play in the ECHL, so that's AA hockey. So our guys, as you see out there, basically 2 steps away from the NHL. So it's, if you use the baseball system, we're basically a AA team. So we're affiliated with both the Chicago Blackhawks at the NHL level and the Rockford Ice Hogs at the American Hockey League level. Wow. So our guys, we actually right now we have 4 or 5 players that have been called up to the AHL who are then just 1 call away from the NHL. So it's very, where the Indiana Ice a few years ago, that was basically junior hockey. So you have your players are 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are looking to play in front of scouts and to earn college scholarships. Our guys are professional hockey. Like, this is pro hockey.
Here's Manning up the left side shore, cuts in on goal, shoots and scores! The Fuel win! Quentin Shore with 13 seconds to go in overtime.
Bernie, tell us a little bit about your background and where you came from and how you ended up in Indianapolis.
From Canada originally, up in Sudbury, up 4 hours north of Toronto, and played in the OHL and everything. Played a bunch of pro years, 13 years pro. I was lucky enough to play, and I ended my last 5 out of my last 7 years were here in Indy. I moved here in '99 to play for the old Indianapolis Ice in the CHL, and made this kind of home. My wife's from here, and we've got 2 boys, so I finished my career in Texas. It was nice to go play in hot weather and some things like that, but then came back and really got involved in the youth hockey a little bit. And then when Mr. Hallett brought the team back and Scott Hillman was the head coach, he'd asked me to be assistant, and 2.5 years later I took over, and now we're here. So it's been a great run. It's been enjoyable, and we're having some fun doing it.
And what's the responsibilities of being a head coach, and what's that like? Is this your first stint as a head coach at this level?
At this level, yeah. So this is my third, going on my third year. But I actually am the head coach, and I run the head coach GM at this level. A lot of teams, their head coach runs all of it. So you run the budget on the hockey side, you run the trades, the free agent stuff, the recruiting, and then the coaching. But it's nice to have a full-time assistant we've got who helps with a lot of the paperwork and other things that you can do your job a little more. He does a lot of the video, so we're ready to go and we have to do stuff like that.
And how many teams are in the league?
There are 27 teams throughout the league. They range from all over. We go to Utah, Salt Lake City next week. There's a team in Boise, Idaho, and then there's a new team out in St. John's, Newfoundland this year. And pretty much all the teams, except for 2 or 3, are affiliated with an NHL team. We're the AA team, and there's a AAA in between us. And then so we filter. We've got some guys from the Blackhawks, from Rockford that we help try to develop. At the same time, we have to have players in here, so we have to win too at the same time.
And then as far as turnover, I mean, 75 games, that's a lot of games. Do you see your team, does the face of the team change from when you started to that last game? You do a lot of traveling. Yeah. And last, how does Indy stack up in terms of market, fans, and just the electricity around the team?
Well, it does change the roster. It has to. You try not to change too much if you can keep the core guys and keep your, say, 13 core guys, and you have to replace guys due to injuries or due to call-ups. Like currently we have almost all of our guys that are on contract with Rockford or Chicago up there right now. So we've got to find some bodies just to help and fill roles, but it's the nature of the business. Every team's like that. And then as far as the Indy stuff, it's one of that's gaining a lot of momentum. We had the All-Star game last year, which really helped boost some things around here, and then I think our playoff run and just the investment the ownership's made with building the apartments for the guys. They got state-of-the-art living, and some of the places you go to these cities, it's not as good. So that's a big seller for us. And then we've had a few guys have a taste at the NHL that have played for us. So that's another recruiting tool. We try to get guys that, a lot of guys that come here, they want to know that they're going to have an opportunity to get to the next level and how we're going to help them. So we have to kind of tell them that and explain that, and that's what we try to do when we're here.
And so I understand that our top line guys may be gone, but tell us a little bit about 1, 2, or 3 of our best, most sought after players, so when our audience comes out to watch it, they can kind of keep an eye out for these guys.
Well, Josh Shalla, obviously we had him. He's a perennial 30, 35 goal scorer in our league. He's leading our team in scoring, but he's always an exciting guy to watch. One guy we know the fans will like, some of them, if they like the fisticuffs, is Collins. He likes to get into it and have some fun. And, yeah, right, Anthony Collins. And he's not afraid. I think every game he's played, he's fought and had some fun, and he's done well. He's a pretty tough kid, and he's a great kid off the ice. Both the Rupert brothers, they're twins, so if you get to see those guys, they're nasty, but they're skilled and they do some good things. And then you always want to keep an eye on the goaltenders, because both of them those are the only 2 we have currently on Chicago contracts, and you never know. The way they develop here at this level, they get to the next level, and a lot of them do make the NHL at some point.
I got you. So let's just talk about Coach John's philosophy. When we come out to watch the Fuel, what's a Coach John team look like, and what are the things that we should know about what's going on with those guys?
Well, we're trying to, go with the new game. It's a speed game. We try to make sure our guys play fast hockey, get up the ice, and all the guys hate defending, so we try to make sure we work on our defensive zone, but let's get out of there as quickly and let's go have fun in the offensive zone. So we want to be a good puck managing team. We've showed it at times. There's times where we've laid an egg, and obviously that happens, but for the most part we've done those kinds of things. But we want to be a fast hockey team. We want to be able to score some goals, make it exciting for our fans, have some fights, and have our goalies have a big save here and there. And we're kind of averaging, I think, in and around the 4-goal mark a game, which is good at our level. So we want to continue that and go from there, so we get those fans out of their seats and cheering every night.
I love it. Well, Bernie, I can tell the Indy Fuel is in great hands. We appreciate, as your fan base, you putting out such a wonderful product, and we'll look forward to the next 3 or 4 months, and hopefully we'll see you at the playoffs.
That's for sure. We appreciate all your time too. Thank you.
All right, very good. This is Glenn Bill for Boomer TV.
Many years ago, I got invited to help MC some stuff at Joy's house.
Oh, I've heard of that place.
They've been around for a long time. They've been doing great work for a long time, too.
It's like an adult day center where caregivers can get a break.
Get a break from all of the care they give. Right. Someone else takes over for a while. And we're going to take you there right now.
Okay.
So you offer services here for adults who may need some extra care, like maybe how we take our children to a daycare, but this is for adults oriented, who you call guests even. So how does that work?
I always say that if we have a camera in front of our face, we won't compare adult day to childcare, but the reality is it's very similar. It helps people understand our setup. We're open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. until 6 p.m., and adults who are aging or living with some kind of a life-altering diagnosis come here during the day, and then they can go home and live with the people they love the most and sleep in their own beds and be a part of their family unit. Because we afford them the opportunity to stay as independent as possible. Long-term care is a great option for people. If they are at a point in their life when they need 24/7 care. And nowadays on long-term care campuses, like there might be the skilled nursing center, there might be assisted living, independent garden homes, they're campuses now. Not everyone is ready to move to one of those campuses. And it's if my husband had a diagnosis and needed care during the day, maybe he wasn't safe to be home alone, or maybe he needed the community, because that's just as important, I think, as safety a lot of the times. I could continue to go to work. I could continue to care for our children. And more importantly, I can be his wife instead of his 24/7 caregiver if I go to a place like Joy's house.
So tell us about some of your guests and what types of things you can help them do, not only physically, but socially, mentally, emotionally.
Our guests come with all kinds of diagnoses. So we see a lot of people who are living with Alzheimer's or related dementia, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, developmental disabilities, you name it. We've probably seen the diagnosis over the years. And most of the time they're living with somebody like a spouse or a parent or a child, maybe an adult child. And they come here during the day so that they can have community. For a lot of our folks, they could stay in their pajamas at home for 3 or 4 days straight and maybe not think twice about that. I think coming to a place like Joy's house allows someone a different kind of a purpose. They find their place. We're kind of like a Cheers. Everybody knows your name and knows where you need assistance, but also knows what you like and who you've been throughout your entire life, not just who you are today. We want to see the whole person.
And then also a stress release, I would imagine, as well, for the caregiver in their life. You offer programs for them as well?
We've created a care kit, which is a binder that people can keep all of their information in one place. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a caregiver come in and we ask them for a phone number and they're looking for the phone number in their pockets, or they say, I have the medication list, it's in my purse, but I think I left that in the car. We're scattered when we're caregiving. It's a lot to take on to really be in charge of facets of someone else's life. And so the binder itself helps people keep information in one place about their medical needs, about their allergies, about their doctor's appointments, but also the house and how to care for their entire family unit too.
So as part of your caregiver services, you also have a radio show?
We do. It's called Caregiver Crossing, and it airs every Saturday morning at 7 on WIBC.
So it's like a public care group or support group?
It is. We say that's great that you say that. We always say it's an on-air support service for people who are caregiving or those of us who one day will be, which is really all of us.
That's great. So you mentioned volunteers. What kinds of jobs or how can people help as a volunteer?
We have volunteers that come and help us in the garden. We've got beautiful gardens at both of our locations. We have volunteers that come in, and we had a church come in a few weeks ago and they cleaned the entire house top to bottom. That makes a big difference for us, who would be doing that if we didn't have the help. But administrative support is what volunteers do, and then some really want to be with the guests, which is great. They can do activities, or they can do maybe a one-on-one with someone and just spend that quality time.
Tina, how can people get involved?
There are lots of ways to get involved. One of the reasons we can continue to exist is because not only is there a need, but it's the kindness of the community and the generosity. And so we're always accepting donations. We're a not-for-profit organization. And whether that be just logging on to our website, joyshouse.org, and clicking on the donate page, or getting things off of our wish list. We need some of the oddest things. So we're not very glamorous. We need a lot of toilet paper and paper towels, but there are other things that we need in kind as well. And then we've got a gala every fall.
Well, you're certainly bringing joy to the community, and we thank you so much, Tina McIntosh, with Joy's House, and to help bring care for those who need a little extra help, as well as the people providing that care for them. I'm Cheryl Mathis with Boomer TV.
How many passwords would you say you have between all your devices, the phone and the computer and paying online?
And then you write them down on a sheet of paper. If somebody finds that, they've hit the mother lode,
I don't
right?
write mine down. Well, sometimes in my phone in the notes. Do you always remember them?
No.
Because I'm always having to change mine because I can't remember them.
There are some places, like at work, different workplaces, where you have to change them every night.
Ugh,
forget about it.
So what do? How do you protect them? How do you keep track of them? Regina's going to show us now.
Hi, I'm Regina with Geek and Pink Computer Repair, and today we're going to be talking about password protection. There are many things that you can do to secure your online accounts. One of the most important things that you can do these days is have your recovery phone number on file with any accounts that you have. This includes your email provider, online banking, any account that has the credentials that gives you the opportunity. By having your cell phone number on record with them, it allows them to send you a text message to verify that it's actually you when you're logging in. Over the years, I found that people are often hesitant to enter that information because they're afraid that that's where it's coming from, where people are calling their cell phones for solicitations and scam phone calls and things like that. But I've never seen a reputable company that has that's been the case, that they've gone on to use that for solicitations and such. So first step is to have your recovery phone number on file. The second step would be to turn on two-step verification when you have that opportunity available to you. And what this does is it lets the account send you either a text message or an email that says that hey, someone's trying to log into your account, the password's correct, but we want to be sure that it's you, click here. While that can become an annoyance, most accounts are good about remembering what browser you're on, so you won't have to do it every time. But some accounts do have the opportunity to let you choose to have it do that every single time. So if you log into your email, then it will send you that verification every time that says someone's trying to log in, is it indeed you? So you do have some ability to make it more convenient versus more secure. Another opportunity that you have to secure your account is update your contact information. And this includes not only the recovery number, but perhaps the recovery email address. And while you're in there, you might find out that the account that you're dealing with, if it's an old email address, for example, if you used to live someplace else and you had your internet service through one company and then you've moved and you have your internet through some other company, then there won't be a way for you to recover that account should you become locked out unless you have those things on file. Because of course, if you've terminated the service with the first internet provider, they no longer have the billing address and all that. So you want to be sure in that case to have the recovery information on file, or of course go ahead and move over and start using the email address that comes with your new internet provider. Another tip on passwords is once the password has been compromised, at all, even with one company, don't ever reuse that password again. So if you get an email from a major retailer that they've had a breach and they think that you may have been affected, don't wait for there to be trouble. Go ahead and change that email address. And if you've been using that password on any other accounts, then promptly go into those accounts and change the password to something else. And just know that it's never safe to use that password again, because what happens is once passwords are discovered, then they become part of a list that hackers try to use over and over again to compromise other accounts that you may have. Some tips for devising a good password is choose something that is easy to remember but hard to guess. So occasionally I'll see people that follow the advice of don't use the same password for every account, which is good advice, but it's only good if you can still get into the accounts. So just using a random string of characters often isn't very practical advice, because then you find that you're having to reset the password every time that you log into an account. What many people do that they find helpful is to have a core complex password. So whether it's the first initial of all of your children's middle name combined with some numbers and mix in a capital letter and use that for every account, but then modify it with the first letter of the website that you're using, for example. That way you have a core part that is easy for you to remember, and that you've picked for some practical reason since it has a significance to you, but then it's customized further to be to work with the individual account. So if that password's compromised, it's not likely to be used to get into all your other accounts as well. When you do suspect that there has been some sort of breach of one of your accounts, then do go in and change your email address password first, because if your email address has been compromised and a person can get into that, they can then go through and look at your email to see where all you have accounts and start triggering password resets to come to that email address, follow those, and then they change the password to something that you don't know. So once again, when you've suffered a breach and you feel like someone does have your password, the first account that you want to tackle is your email password, and then go into the other ones and change them. These are some tips on password protection and how you can keep yourself safe. I'm Regina with Boomer TV.
All right, we're going underground now. We're going undercover.
Are we?
This
like
is our undercover report.
hiding out from somebody? Or?
Well, I guess you could do a lot of things down in a catacomb.
Oh, the catacombs underneath our city.
Yeah, we go underground, and we sent Michael Apwood to find out what's up down there.
What is it about dark, dank basements with ancient-looking archways, and you just never know what might be lurking around the next corner, that can raise those little hairs on the back of our neck, make our heart beat just a little faster, have us imagining all sorts of things we would otherwise never even dream of? I mean, I ain't afraid of no ghost, but this place is kind of creepy.
Didn't work.
Actually, the only creep here is your intrepid reporter. I mean, Joe Perrin with the Indianapolis City Market was nice enough to give us a tour of Indy's catacombs, and I just had to try and pull off a cheap joke at his expense. Sorry, Joe. But ever the professional, he still gave us an enlightening tour of an otherwise dark place filled with shadows.
So we're down in what we call the catacombs here at the Indianapolis City Market, and the catacombs are one of the only things that is left from Tomlinson Hall.
Tomlinson Hall was a massive structure and an impressive addition to the late 19th century Indianapolis skyline. Today, all that remains of the actual structure can be found here amongst these old arches and passageways.
We're directly underneath the West Plaza of the City Market, and that's that plaza at the intersection of Market and Delaware.
Today, tours are available, and there are all sorts of events, from karaoke in the catacombs to paranormal explorations.
Looking for ghosts.
Yeah, and
or the activity associated with.
Yes, I would describe it as such, but the people that come and do those tours always have a really, really good time, and I think have good things to say about it. I personally have not gone on one. I have to come down here. We don't keep these lights on all the time, so I'm the one that usually has to come turn them on, myself or my coworker Sandy. And when it's pitch black down here, that's about the creepiest experience that I need to have down here. So I'll leave the tours to other people.
A beautiful yet just a little creepy event happened a couple years ago. Threshold singers, a group you typically find at the bedside of someone who is dying, were singing here in a circle of chairs to honor Earth Day. All the lights were off. The acoustics here are perfect for such singing. And then...
It was spectacular, and then it was over, and we turned the lights back on, and everybody kind of went on their merry way. A couple of weeks later, there was a tour going on down here. My boss was leading a tour, and with a private group, and somebody on the tour had a nice digital camera and thought this looked really cool and took a picture. And when they looked down at their camera, they looked in the viewfinder, and then they saw that there was the silhouette of a woman sitting in one of the chairs. And it's like, oh my gosh, you have to look at this. And everybody else saw it too. And ever since then, we leave the chairs right where they are, because, just in case.
Can't be too careful when dealing with the paranormal. Then there's the case of the mysteriously moving market cart.
My boss came down here to turn the lights on because a tour was about to happen, and she comes back upstairs and looks at me and said, have you been down there lately? I said, no, why?
Who moved the cart?
She said, well, the cart is on the complete other side of the catacombs now, and there's no tracks. We have a dirt floor here. There are no tracks in the dirt to show that it's been rolled. And then if you even after that, if you actually try and move this thing, the axles on these wheels are so rusted it's impossible. And so either somebody came down here and played a really great trick on us, or it moved on its own or some other way.
We won't solve this mystery during our time here, but we will update you, dear viewer, should the mysteriously moving market cart ever make another mysterious move.
Joe Perrin, thanks so much for taking us through a not so creepy but historic walk through the City Market Catacombs.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Pleasure
Thank
to
you.
do it. Thanks for coming out.
And for Boomer TV, I'm Michael Atwood.
All right, that's the end.
It is the end. It's time to say goodbye.
We can't find any more time. Even if we look in the catacombs, we're not going to find any more time.
You're going to have to wait another week till we do this all again, but it'll be just as exciting as Passwords and Catacombs and Joy's House and hockey.
It's an interesting
Promise.
little mix we put together here every week, and glad you enjoy it on Boomer TV.
Tell a friend.
For more all things Boomer, just visit our website. That's indieboomer.com. Indie Boomer connects TV, magazine, and radio. It contains useful information for baby boomers all over the Indianapolis metropolitan area. And you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Pick up Indie Boomer magazine at most Kroger stores and libraries. Look for us all over Indy.
Listen to Boomer Radio every Saturday afternoon at 4:30 p.m. on Freedom 95 with a rebroadcast Sundays at 7:30. Indie Boomer, for the next chapter of your life.
Boomer TV is made possible with support from Westport Homes, dedicated to building homes for every chapter of life, with plans and details that match customers' specific needs and style. Additional funding is provided by Altman, Poindexter, and Wyatt attorneys, serving clients throughout central Indiana with wills, trusts, and estates, with over 70 years of combined experience. Unique Home Solutions, serving more than 30,000 homeowners since 1983. Providing home remodeling services from minor updates to complete renovations with a mission to improve appearance and efficiency.